Good morning. This is Kelly Borsheim. I have transferred a little outline here of a traditional Venetian cape figure from about 100 years or so or more ago, and it's called a Tabarro. And what I wanted to do was add a point of interest other than just the foggy atmosphere here. And I wanted to add a little bit of the history of Venice, Italy, Venezia. And so this was a traditional figure here. Also, I did a series called The Passages Morocco, and I did a lot of these tunnel things, and I would always sort of put in, not always, but often I would put in a figure into the shadows so that maybe when you look at the art for a while later, you see, oh, there's actually a figure in there. So this is kind of the same thing, Passages Venezia, but so anyway, I've got my little Nitram charcoal and sharpening, and so now I'm going to start. I want it to be a ghost type of figure, so I want it to be somewhat transparent here. Okay, so a lot of this will show through in the middle. Hi Gregory. Eccolo. My landlord's dog. He loves me, and I love him. Okay. Don't know if I can zoom into that. Maybe I can. Okay, so you can see what I'm doing here. I've never really done a transparent ghost-like figure before, but I'm more interested in moving my art in a new direction and learning, even though it may not look like a new direction to you guys, but for me, I want to continue to do something that's to grow, to keep learning how to, and also the ideas change as you get, as you go along your life path, the things you think about. So I want it to be understood it's a figure, but again, I want it to be transparent. Does he look ghost-like to you? And this is a shadow, because remember the light's coming from up here, so it would be going down. And then of course the shadow is going to come a little bit this way, but not too much, because he's kind of under there, so there's not going to be a whole lot of this. Be very diffuse kind of thing. Okay, a shadow is going to be darker closer to where the object that's casting that shadow, and then as it branches out, it's going to get there. But for a figure that's actually transparent, that might be even trickier, huh? Maybe the ghost doesn't leave a shadow. I never really thought about that. I think it probably would if it's a presence of some sort, but I don't know. Maybe it depends on the story you're telling. So I'm using a sponge eraser, or a sponge, just to sort of soften these lines here. I may need to come back in later and put some stone texture in there, I don't know. Or maybe this vertical, the horizontal sketch is going to stay that way. I'm kind of liking how the bottom looks. I'm not convinced that the top, maybe I need to make it a little bit darker. Gregorio, dove la pale? Hai trovato la pala, Gregory? Oh, bravo. What do you think? See, I want this to come out a little bit more to show that it's not just the architecture there. So what do you think? Does it look like a Tabarro to you? Thanks for watching. Share this video with your friends and subscribe. I kind of like it. Maybe I put a little more dark down here. It's important to stand back too, because you can't really judge things when you're too close to them. Just like everything, relationships, everything. So you have to step back and try to take an objective look. Okay? Thanks. Okay, so I stood back a little bit and took a look at this to judge it, to decide what I want to do with it. And again, the street light is coming from the center of this arch here, and it's coming down. And you can see from where his feet are, because I think earlier I was thinking, oh, he's under the bridge because he's casting on that, but it's not true. His feet are standing here, which technically is just a wee bit in front of this arch, this plane. So the light is going to be coming from this direction here, but very, very close to him. So the shadow's not going to go far out. You see, if this was the light casting the shadow, and maybe it will have some impact on it, the shadow will come a little bit out because of this direction here. But with this direction coming straight down, the shadow's mostly going to be actually underneath the figure, slightly towards us, but not too much. So I really want to make this now. Again, because the light's coming this way, you could, if you wanted to, draw a line and say from this point, the shadow would go there. Do you see what I'm saying there? So in that case, I would say, let's move this shadow back a little bit. Right now, I'm just going to soften this with the sponge to lighten it. But so that's one way that I can do it. Treat it like rays of the sun coming down. So this one, you could say, I've got to pull this shadow over more. And again, it's closer to underneath him, going slightly away. But I want to pull this. Do you see what I'm doing here? If I can get a knitting needle. So if I say that the light is up here, I can pull this down and decide this shadow may be falling as far as like this. But there's so much airspace in between here that it's not going to be dark. Near the feet, it's going to be darker because those are physically touching the pavement. But here, it's going to get lighter. But right now, I'm just going to put in the feeling of his body and a little bit in front of him because, of course, some of the cape is in front of his actual feet. So, and I don't really see his feet because he's kind of a ghost. But, so what I feel is that, okay, that's all right. The shadow is here. He's in a circular blob because he's got broad shoulders, of course, and then he's got the Tabarro coming down. So let's do some of this. Now, as I get away, I want to lighten this. So I'm taking my kneaded eraser and just lightening a bit. And I still want it to be there because it's still casting, but again, there's a lot of airspace. So I'm going to darken this. Now, another thing that I decided I want to do is, even though he's a ghost, I want to put some three-dimensional stuff into the outline, the cape figure stuff. So what I mean by that is, if the light's coming from here, this side will be a little bit lighter, and it's also transparent. You can see the canal area behind it and the sidewalk up to here. Maybe I can darken that there to extend that line. You see how your brain just kind of does that? That may be a little too dark, but okay, so what I want to do is leave that side lighter, but I want to come in here and make this a wee bit darker. I'll sharpen it on a piece of sandpaper, not drop it. One of the reasons that I don't do as I was taught in art school is sharp it to a long point. I've never had the patience to do that, and I've watched so many art students drop their charcoal after all that, and they've just wasted all their material. And anyways, okay, so I'm going to come in and darken some of this a little bit here. I have a soft charcoal, so it allows me to do these things, and I want to darken this side. Because, again, if the light's coming from here, this will be the side also. You can't really see so much here, but there's a flowy, there's kind of curvy going on, like a curtain with a lot of fabric. So right here there was a separation. So that'll be a little bit darker there where it goes in shadow. And then where it hits the light will be lighter. Now, up on the hat and things, the shoulders are going to get a little bit more light. But there will be a point where as it goes down, this will darken a little bit here, okay? Again, the distance of the light, the fall of the light, so to speak. And this will be lighter. This side will be lighter than this, and as we go down, everything's going to get darker. Sometimes it's difficult to make subtle changes in tone of charcoal because you don't have the range and you have to be really good at working it. And I tend to take a photo of it at that point because the photo, I see the contrast, or you can use the black mirror. Okay, this is a piece of black glass. But what I do is, when it's clean, right now it has some scratches or clay or something on it. Anyway, I'll put it horizontal like this, and I'll look at my figure. I can't tell if I'm doing this for the camera or not, but I look at the figure reflected in here. And what this black mirror does is it compresses the tones into a smaller range so that you really can see the differences. If something's going to fall on the light or fall in the dark, it gets compressed in the same way sort of that you compress, that bas-relief sculpture is compressed form. It's not just puffy painting, it's compressing everything, so everything goes gradually down, flatten it all till you get your stuff. So I can judge it here and go, oh, that's too bright. Now what I want to do at this point is say, all right, he's got this hat on, and I know that a street light is going to come down. It's going to hit the top part of the hat. So, but I want to do it inside the hat so you still see that. So on this side, I'm going to lighten a little bit. On the brim of the hat, I'm going to lighten the brim a little bit, and come over here. Now, these are all subtle details, but again, that's the thing that makes it quality. I don't need to be obvious with everything. I just need to do enough to have you have the idea. And there's actually a slight little bump in the hat that I saw of the Tabarro outfit. And so I want to give two little hills with the light coming in this way, make it again darker on this side, and then darker the second hill, a little bit of a camel thing. But I realize it's disappearing into the dark background, so I'm going to outdo the, not outdo, I don't know what that word is, the shadow. And then again on this side, I'm going to darken the hat over here a little bit. Okay? I don't know if I'll like the effect or not. I hope I will. But again, stand back to judge. Okay? How's that working? Maybe this is too solid. Maybe that's too. Because see, this is a dark piece that's on the wall behind him, so it's an interesting thing of how do you know what's the architecture. So right here I have a dark line going down, and I think I want to keep that in there from the back wall to let you know this is a transparent figure. Okay? And maybe that's just too light. So stand back and look at it. I think he's coming back a little bit. Do you see the transparency in the hat? And so again, I want to darken this side of his leg that's coming down. And the back side of this. I can put in some vertical lines here to indicate these forms. You see how this would come down and then go around. Okay, and then there. And then of course under the cape, you're going to have the figure have some shadows from the cape falling onto the feet. Okay, I want to get a little bit mysterious there because I don't necessarily have information about what his feet are doing. Okay, and that's just a little too dark there. And I'm putting in texture like this because I put texture in for the nearby pavement stones there, and I want to keep that implied because sometimes you don't have to draw everything right. You put the texture in, or put your strokes into that way, and it does the work for you. So now I step back and say, is that believable? Maybe. What do you think? Put your comments below and share this video and subscribe if you like. Thank you for watching. It's Kelly Borsheim, BorsheimartS.com. Ciao.